So I recently worked with an executive who got passed over for a well-deserved promotion at the 11th hour directly by his CEO after doing everything right for months. And here's the worst part, the CEO didn't even feel bad about it. What happened? If you're a likable person, right? If you're an agreeable person, these are great qualities to have. But in a high stakes situation, right? In a negotiation, those very same agreeable tics you have can be misperceived, as it was with him, as people pleasing. And that was the kiss of death when you're talking about a strong personality you're going up against, like that CEO. So what do? Okay? Here are 3 principles I want you to keep in mind. And if you've never looked at this and you've wondered why you did everything right and you got like screwed over, passed over, or ignored, this is probably a big reason why, okay? Number 1, cut out the fawning, right? Cut out all of this, like when we're like in a situation, we have this desire to like react to keep the flow going, right? So someone's talking and they say something and you can tell they want to be impressed. Oh, okay. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, you know? All of this, right? All of this in a high stakes scenario comes across as low status. It comes across as you're the big cheese, I'm the supplicant, I'm here to apply. And that's exactly what you don't want as an executive leader, okay? So I want you to start developing a bit of a poker face, right? When you take in information, you don't have to react. In fact, when you're talking about a strong like CEO type personality, one of the most effective things you can do is just take in that information. Don't be impressed. There's nothing for you to be impressed by, okay? You're a professional. He or she is a professional. Let's dialogue that way, right? This should be more of the default. Not this, not animated, not looking to react, right? You don't react. You direct and you listen. So that's the first thing, right? Cut out all of that extraneous people-pleasing, fawning behavior. And if you need help with this stuff, consider working with a coach or doing something to start actually building up your leadership presence skill set, okay? Number 2, I want you to start using silence, right? I want you to stop like treating silence like this horrible intruder into a conversation. And I want you to start looking at silence as maybe the best friend that you have. You don't have to talk. You don't have to just reply for the sake of replying. And a lot of times, when there's a problem, when there's something there, holding that contact, holding that moment, what's the implication of that? What are we going to do here? How are you guys, do you guys even want to change this in any way more than what you have? Because I'm really not seeing that. How? You see the power of that? Silence is a tool. Silence is a mechanism that you can and should deploy. Because if you're filling in to rush and fill the space, if you're uncomfortable with that, like you can't hold that silence, right? It also means you can't hold your frame. You can't hold your authority. And so that also becomes a kiss of death, okay? So I want you to start, like number 1, poker face. Start developing that, right? You don't have to play poker. I don't know how to play poker, but you darn sure better start doing that, right? Number 2, I want you to start using the power of silence. Stop looking at that as a problem and start bringing it into your normal conversations. Bring it into your normal life. Start testing out those boundaries of comfort so it doesn't freak you out when it pops its head, right? Being at ease with comfort is a huge sign of senior leadership, effective leadership. Here's the last one I want to share just here, right? Short video. Look for, when you're actually in the room, specifically 2 to 3 opportunities to specifically and compassionately disagree or point out a completely different perspective. Hey, I hear where you're coming from there. With all due respect, I actually see it in a completely different way. I understand why you would think that way. Here's what I've seen, right? That when we're doing X, Y is actually the key thing, right? And if we don't look at Y, and I haven't heard Y from you yet, that is going to be the number 1 thing that's going to hold this back. So what's the plan for that? That's the crucial part that I'm not hearing here, right? Hey, can we look at this in a different way? Because, you've been like laying out this whole situation for me, right? You've been laying it out, beginning, middle, and end. I get that. But it sounds like something you're very familiar with, right? It sounds like you've been deploying this, hiring, that person hasn't worked, get them out, bring someone new on. What if this is a strategy issue, not one of execution or hiring? Do you see the difference there, right? You see how the quality of the entire interaction can change. When we're talking about strong personalities, I don't care if there is a disagreement or if you actually authentically feel like there's a different perspective. When you're going up against strong personalities, you have to show boundaries, okay? Because if everything is a yes, and this is the fatal mistake that my client made back then, right? He learned better now, but he didn't then. The fatal mistake when you're in that situation is, yes, I'm in agreement. Fantastic. I might be in 100% agreement. But for you as the person that I need to negotiate with, I don't trust it. And none of us do. Like in 2025, none of us trust that we just perfectly get along and everything's great. What we think is you're scamming me, right? What we think is it's too good to be true. So the way you avoid being felt as too good to be true is you preemptively show a couple of differences. You show where those lines are. And while showing those lines, it actually makes all of the agreement actually stick. And if you don't do that, you can just keep providing and keep providing and keep providing and keep providing, and absolutely nothing is going to change, right? In fact, for those of you who've been through hiring processes, interview 5, 6, 7, 8, I guarantee you this has been the dynamic that's been going on. You're not seeing the fact that all of your agreements and all of your extra work and slide decks is actually completely sabotaging you by showing that you're a low status fake leader. Don't do that, right? So just to quickly reiterate this, and if you don't start implementing this or looking at it, if you just look at this as like an anonymous video you found on YouTube or LinkedIn or whatever, it's going to do bupkis for you, which is great. Because the real leaders out there, the small percentage of them, they're going to be able to swap up all of the great stuff right now, right? And you're going to be left in the dark overworking. So the 3 things are, cut out the fawning. Number 2, learn to use the power of strategic silence. Number 3, specifically look for 2 to 3 situations, opportunities, moments in the conversation to disagree or paint an opposing or alternate viewpoint of this. These are your boundary lines, and they make the agreement parts sing, and they make it much more believable for the other side, okay? If you want to go deeper into this, I encourage you to check out helloanish.com, follow me on LinkedIn, do something, take some action here to support your leadership journey and keep it moving forward. Be strong, be competitive out there, and don't ever let anyone tell you that you're lesser than. I'll see you on the next one.